Hey Jess, is it raining out?
No.
Because today's movie review is about rain that turns into a flood.
And I'm talking about
clever.
a real-life Hogwarts.
That was clever.
And
Come on.
Jeremy has a spoiler alert about Nightwing. And this
Hate you. Is Nerdcast.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Roger. Ready to move out.
So Mitch, how was Noah?
It was epic.
Really?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like, I'm going to explain it.
So how does it compare with the book?
Book was better.
There's not a lot of TV and movie news this week, but we'll go ahead and tell you the important stuff. Primetime TV is having its highest rating since 2007. Ratings have been declining considerably due to services such as Hulu and Netflix. The increase is most likely due to events such as the Sochi Olympics, but we here at Nerdcast would like to say thank you.
Thank you.
Girl Meets World has a new trailer up, but I can't say it really feels like the good old days.
In fact, it reeks of Disney TV.
Harrison Ford finally answered the question of who shot first. Are you ready for it?
You're not.
He said, "I don't know and I don't care." Well, I guess it's actually the best answer. The Netherlands are testing out some new tech that makes driving awesome while simultaneously making you ask yourself, what did I eat and/or drink? How much sugar did I have? The country is trying to conserve money by doing small things such as turning off streetlights. They understand, however, that this could cause some problems. So their solution? Use glow-in-the-dark paint on roads. They're testing it now, but it could catch on internationally if it actually works well. The paint can glow up to 10 hours at night, so unfortunately they'll have to figure out something else in Alaska when it's their winter season.
Best video game ever.
Amazon has bought the digital comic service Comixology. Of course the app will come to Kindle, but no word on if there will be special pricing for Prime or if it will be included in the subscription. PAX is no longer just for Seattle and Boston. PAX South is making its debut in 2015 in San Antonio, Texas. I, however, am still hoping for PAX Mid-Atlantic.
What hat do we need to put names into to get this to be in Baltimore?
I would like to take this moment to give a little PSA. Tweeting bomb threats, however false, at any company is not funny. And it is a bad idea. Some teens got it in their heads that tweeting a bomb threat was a funny joke. Let me tell you, it is not a joke. Not in the slightest. It costs tax dollars and time that really doesn't need to be wasted on these types of jokes. They have to take every threat seriously because the one time they overlook a joke, it could very well be the real thing. It freaks people out and it's scary. If you were one of those teens who were a part of this prank, the original tweeter was arrested and there will be a knock at your door shortly if there hasn't been one already. Now that we got that unpleasantness out of the way, who wants to be a wizard? Well, now you can take Hogwarts classes online. Some Harry Potter fans created some free classes based off of the books. You can even choose your house because, well, there's no sorting hat.
But they do have a very helpful quiz.
You have assignments and you get to purchase your textbooks from Diagon Alley. If that sounds like it's right up your alley, then check it out at hogwartsishere.com.
Nowadays, a lot of movies are based on books, and those movies tend more towards the awkward or terrible side. After watching Noah, I'm starting to think that's because directors aren't taking the artistic liberties they need to start taking with source material. Noah does something right by adding fantasy elements and big visuals where people wouldn't expect them. It may be based on the Bible, but Noah comes off more like Lord of the Rings. There's fight scenes and magic and, interesting stuff. Old Testament land is a brutal place, and Darren Aronofsky proved that it was film-worthy. Then went even further by adding visually arresting craziness. Craziness, such as giant stone monsters.
And that makes sense?
Vaguely. There is a history of protectors made of inanimate objects in Jewish mythology.
Oh, so Noah has golems.
Yeah, a whole army of them. It makes a lot more sense than putting all the animals into cryosleep.
Wait, what?
That's right, viewers. The inglorious tasks of poo cleaning and boat building are cleverly explained away using miracles. Aronofsky decided to instead focus on the parts of the story that are interesting. This doesn't change the story, it just adds parts that were never otherwise explained. And in Creativity Land, anything that's not expressly said is a gaping hole ready to be filled with imagination. The end result is a fantasy movie that uses the Old Testament to create a fully fleshed out fantasy mythos.
It's even got a wizard.
That also leads to some pretty sweet fight scenes. I don't recall this in the original story, but Noah straight up murders people. The golems do too. In fact, there's a whole faction of evil humans to puree on a truly massive scale. I also sort of liked the evil humans because they weren't that evil. It's hard to feel bad for them because they act more like slighted children than orcs most of the time, and that makes it all the more visceral when the movie shows them inevitably and miserably drowned.
Then we get a bunch of slow boat scenes, which I hated.
I liked them.
Shut up, Mitch.
I went in expecting to hate this movie just because it's biblical, and that is absolutely the wrong mindset. Noah's not trying to shove a belief down your throat, and it's not some cheap retelling hoping to make money off of people who feel they have a responsibility to go see it. Instead, Noah takes the basics of Old Testament mythology and shamelessly creates a film for all audiences. And it does more than anyone could have asked in order to ensure that the movie is inclusive for non-believers. Bottom line here is Noah is a ton of fun. It gets emotional, serious, and engaging, all without defaulting to showing characters as perfect just because they're believers in a world of heathens. The characters are flawed, thus likable, and their problems feel real even if the scope is literally an apocalypse. The fight scenes are spectacles in their own right, and I found I was enjoying myself way beyond my expectations. Will religious groups get upset that a traditional story was being used for entertainment? I suppose that's a typical fear when dealing with something like this, but there is a potentially controversial montage that could explain how creationism and evolution could coexist. So I guess if you're the kind of person who hates having something in common with people you could otherwise disagree with, then don't go see this movie. It's not flawless. The CGI is slightly lacking and the film can move slow at times, but Noah is good enough that it could start a whole new series of biblical fantasy movies. For the next one, I suggest Samson. He's a big badass with a lot of really cool fight scenes, and he gets stronger as his hair gets longer.
The Virtuix Omni treadmill is the beginning of the VR tech we've always wanted. Early backers will be getting theirs soon, like July soon, and everyone else will have to shell out the cash for this, plus the Oculus Rift. After clearing their living rooms of all other furniture, they can start running in place like an idiot while playing their video games. But if you're more the type to sit in your chair and play MOBAs, in Shanghai, China, there is a new League of Legends boot camp. It's right near 7 universities, so we know exactly who they're targeting. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, pro gamer Zhang Jiahang, whose name means excellent navigator, is having difficulty navigating the LOL forums. He managed to get arrested for a certain comment he made a year ago.
Wow. Nothing's forgotten in the age of the internet.
Costume Quest is getting a comic book, which is awesome because it was such a great and creative game and well worth the price. If you have a Wii U, be careful when posting on the Miiverse. Shuhei Yoshida, president of Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide Studios, has been banned on the Miiverse twice. He did 2 no-nos. The first was giving out his Twitter handle, and the second was saying, "I love PS."
PS. What could PS possibly mean from the head of Sony?
Yeah, we're not supposed to promote stuff on Miiverse, although if I had to guess, I love 3DS would be allowed. Nintendo still thinks girls are associated with one color.
Which is, of course, chartreuse.
Pink. There's a Peach Pink Wii Remote Plus getting ready to join the ranks of the Mario and Luigi remotes, complete with Crown Emblem. New DLC for Call of Duty will let Snoop Dogg play commentator on your game. It's amusing enough, I just might actually play it. So remember that huge spy contraption that was in Batman the Dark Knight? Well, yeah, it looks more like reality than fiction now. The FBI has started to use facial recognition software on everyone, including non-criminals. It's a serious violation of privacy according to some people, not to mention it has major implications, and as it turns out, Maryland has been fully cooperative with the FBI on this. I won't go into all the details here, but you really should check out the EFF.org for more information on the project.
So does this mean we have to start wearing masks now if we want to do the show?
Just you.
All right. Will this work?
Good enough. Toshiba's getting a 4K display laptop, and it's cheaper than what I expected. I still won't be getting it, but it's nice to see the technology is becoming more available. Amazon is just trying to get a piece of everything. There's a rumor that Amazon is planning on releasing a phone in September, and oh look, it has glasses-free 3D. The last tidbit of news I have for you today comes from Google. Chrome Remote Desktop is now available for Android, which means you can now browse your PC from your phone. And that's it for today, guys.
Flight Simulator. Train Simulator. Farm Simulator. And now, Goat Simulator. Roll montage.
Mitch, we don't have the budget for a montage.
The world is changed. The world is goats. Goat Simulator. Your opportunity to be the dopiest goat I have ever seen. If you've ever seen Tommy Wiseau's masterwork of film, known only as The Room, then you're aware that something can be so bad, it's hilarious. In this case, something can be so bad on purpose that it circles back to genius. Instead of all the tedium that other simulators seem so eager to force on players, Goat Simulator sticks to only the best parts of goathood. Breaking things, licking things, anti-gravity.
And the best part is, it's learning.
Being a goat is a lifestyle choice, and my first instinct is to just stand here and explain all of the wondrous things that the way of the goat can bring to your life. But that would spoil all of the game's jokes like I'm some kind of jerk.
You are a jerk.
Yeah, but not right now. I can't tell if this game was made poorly and they just went with it, or if it was made poorly ironically on purpose, like some sort of indie music from the perspective of someone with ear gauges. Either way, what we get is a game so simple and so funny, based purely on design, that it's almost an insult to the rest of the industry. More than half of the game's humor comes from how silly this goat looks at any given moment. Its head bobbleheads freely and clips into objects, especially when it walks up ladders, because it can just do that. It just uses ladders. And everything in this game lives by ragdoll physics, like it takes place in a trailer park in the middle of Skyrim.
Fusro!
There's no set gameplay in Goat Sim. It's mostly just walking around doing whatever you want and being a goat. There's a point system, missions, and achievements that give you some structure, but those are just for the people who can't figure out how to have fun, since there's nothing even close to a story, and since you're playing in a video game sandbox. So those missions are just optional. Much more satisfying for me was hunting down the game's various Easter eggs and laughing like a baby when I was rewarded with something like going to space or becoming Satan.
You said you wouldn't spoil it.
Hey, I didn't say what kind of Satan I became. Problem is, I did pretty much everything I wanted to do in about an hour and a half. Goat Simulator Sandbox World is really, really small. I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, writing quality jokes is hard, but it only took 90 minutes for me to exhaust everything I wanted to do, except for the most time-consuming of challenges. I only wanted to climb up a huge ladder a handful of times, no matter how great it sounds to lick a hang glider. The bottom line is, this is how simple it can be to make an entertaining game. I enjoyed my time in whatever strange European town this takes place in.
And where is this place exactly?
I don't know, it felt kind of Slavic, maybe Chechnya?
Oh, you're just naming places.
I'm not a cartographer! But it was over far too soon. I wanted more of that delicious goat lovin', which is illegal and leads to terrifying Google searches. More importantly, I played a quality game, and it's refreshing to see some devs who know how to make a joke and know when the joke's run its course. For its price, Goat Simulator can keep fun-loving gamers like me entertained for about an afternoon. And it's probably worth the buy just so you can show your friends the best part of your anecdotes. But limited gameplay and world means that the game needs more game. Still, a player wanting more is pretty good criticism. I give Goat Simulator a yeah out of
I just realized that Tim Drake is the only one of the main Robins that hasn't ever died somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, they always come back. I mean, they should be more like phoenixes.
Well, no, but I mean, Marvel has the whole Phoenix thing with Jean Grey and all that. Today, I'm talking about dead Robins. You know, come to think of it, what are you talking about today?
Look, it's a secret, all right? What I'm talking about is so secret.
Yeah?
Even I don't know.
What?
I'm a ninja. So this week we're going to be looking at a couple of series that have been on the top 3 and the bottom 3 for quite a while now, in the essence of spring cleaning to kind of get ready to usher out the old and bring in the new. Now the first series at the top of our list is The World Is Still Beautiful. Now what exactly is it? Just as we all feared right out of the starting gate, the world has been taken over.
Who did it this time?
By the king of the Sun Kingdom, Livius I. Livius.
Let's just call him Livy for short.
There you have it. Even in fictional times of crisis, Jeremy is still informal enough to hand out nicknames like candy. Now we're looking at the young king Livy, who from the start of the series had 3 years ago conquered Earth and is known everywhere across the world as the Dreadful King. Now, the story is not actually about him. It's about a young woman named Nike, and that's not the brand name from Back to the Future Part 3. For all 3 of you who got that today, she's actually the princess of the Rain Dukedom, and can essentially control the rain. Now, she is forced into marriage by her sisters after losing a game of what else but rock, paper, scissors to see who will marry this dreadful king. And the relationship starts off rougher than, well, any of the given fight sequences from any issue of Masks.
Hey, I do the comic references here.
After all, 4 out of 5 husbands agree that putting your spouse in jail is usually a poor date night strategy. Long story short, things actually start to get better from there. Bonds are established, story arcs are started, and well, it's actually starting to prove to be a very promising start for the series in general.
Sinestro number 1. Sinestro's been through a lot. He's been the greatest Lantern of 2 different corps. He's been the White Lantern. He even murdered all of the corrupt Guardians of the Universe. But ever since Volthoom obliterated his home planet of Korugar, Sinestro's been off the grid. Now we get to see what he's been up to in an intense opening scene involving a ringless Sinestro fending off giant alien tigers day after day for an unspecified amount of time.
And here I thought he'd just be sitting on the couch, ordering pizza, watching Netflix.
But everything changes when Lyssa Drac arrives with some news that gives Sinestro a whole new purpose in life. After all he's been through, now is the perfect time for Sinestro to have his own series. And Dale Eaglesham's art seems to be a perfect fit for it too. Really, for Sinestro fans, this issue is basically flawless. It wasn't the most amazing thing ever, but for Green Lantern fans, this is a can't miss. 9.5 out of 10.
In a world under attack.
Is anybody else noticing a theme here?
The known human world is under siege by evolutionary invasion objects, affectionately known by us as EIOs.
E-I-E-I-O.
And to defend our honor, a supranational organization named Dogu has created a genetically altered series of warriors.
This sounds suspiciously like a Monsanto project.
These DNA-altered warriors are actually known in the series as E-gene holders. And they're basically the reincarnations of historical figures. And they are actually able to summon special weapons that are particular to the person they're reincarnated from. And our main character, Shio Ogura, is actually the reincarnation of Japanese Major Oda Nobunaga. Now, he was actually the initiator of the unification of Japan, which led to the Meiji era.
Something, 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 Rurouni Kenshin something.
History is going to have to wait for another time. Now, the problem with her reincarnation of this Japanese general is that her past life recognition is basically only of the military memories. Now, this is essentially unleashed and brought to us, the viewer, on a school trip to Taiwan, where she teams up with a classmate who is the reincarnation of Jack the Ripper. Havoc ensues, and well, you've really got to see it to understand what's going on.
Hulk number 1. Mark Waid's Indestructible Hulk started off amazingly, but it fell pretty far, especially during the last story arc, to the point where I hardly cared.
And neither did I. Well, I never did to begin with.
And this is pretty shocking for a Mark Waid series. But with the direction change as the title is relaunched, Mark Waid appears to be ready to redeem himself. I'm normally not a fan of Mark Bagley's artwork, and the stunning Jerome Opena cover is always misleading, but Bagley's art actually works really well in this issue, only looking awkward in a few panels. The story here is perfectly unique as I'd expect from Mark Waid, specifically generated for the Hulk, just as much as the beginning of Indestructible Hulk was. So I'm pretty excited for this new direction. 9 out of 10.
And now it's time to clear out the clutter from our bottom 3.
The back issues are off limits.
We're actually going to be looking today at Magical Warfare. Now, those of you who are longtime viewers of the show will recognize it as being in our bottom 3 for our anime choices. And it's in the bottom 3 for a reason. Now, the plot, or rather the setting itself, is rather typical. A high school student, a chick from another world who has these outrageous powers or skill set.
Of destruction.
Yes, of destruction. Basically, you get 2 characters with a background so haphazardly put together and introduce elements of magic, romance, and more objectionable action than Mitch clinging to the outside of a tilt-a-whirl, and you're left with, well, this series. Now, that said, the artwork is, well, it's not entirely bad. The story is a little bit uninspired, and it's a very middle-of-the-road kind of series for this day and age. Again, not the best, not the worst. The main problem that personally I would like to see fixed with the series is to fix its own grasp on physics and continuity of those physics. And then, well, maybe, just maybe, you might have yourself a brand new show.
Ultimate FF #1. I was disappointed by all new Ultimates, but there is hope yet for the Ultimate Universe, with Ultimate FF finally bringing the future foundation to the Ultimate Universe.
Still more hope than my own of Senpai noticing me.
Considering how badly broken the Fantastic Four are, this is good timing. Joshua Hale-Fialkov, Mario Guevara, and Juan Velasco deliver a comic that is just so unique and engaging. Guevara's artwork is a little simplistic, but it has so much looseness and energy to it in the fight scenes, and it's complemented amazingly by Velasco's incredibly unique colors. There's a lot of bright blues and purples, a lot of stuff you don't normally see in mainstream superhero comics, and it really sets the unique atmosphere. The whole thing just oozes originality. There's a science focus here, like how each character intro comes with the usual name and their power set, but it also says their IQs. The kicker in this issue is the shocking character reveal at the end. That was really caught me off guard. Joshua Hale-Fialkov and the idea of the Future Foundation had me excited from the start, and I was not disappointed. 9.5 out of 10.
For our last in-depth review for anime this week, we're looking at a blast from the past, quite literally. Now, the series itself, Burst Angels, actually follows a student looking for part-time work, and while his only real skill set is that he's a really good cook.
Seems legit. Maybe a little mundane.
I know what you're thinking, but here's the kicker. All right, when he actually goes out to apply for a job, he becomes the live-in cook for a group of mercenaries. And of course, in this series, those mercenaries are a varying age range group of about 3 girls.
So it's a harem series?
Oh, not at all. The series may have only 4 characters, but it uses this to its advantage. It has a very unique sense of storytelling in this aspect. Now, it uses only certain amounts or certain characters per episode, rather than having the story focus on all 4 of them at the same time. Now, some episodes focus on, well, darker matters, some focus on lighter matters. It's very interesting how every character has their own story arc, rather than all combining together for the same one. And the series just goes into so much depth and rich detail with different issues. Belonging, uniformity, the failures of both of those, ethics in general. You're looking at a series about 3 misfit bounty hunters, to be honest, a cook who needs a part-time job, and a world where everyone has a gun.
Spoiler alert!
Big news for Batman's sidekicks, especially the ones with 1 or more feet in the grave. Forever Evil might not be over yet, what with the delay and all, but DC has revealed Nightwing's post-Forever Evil fate. He's last seen with his heart having been stopped by Lex Luthor, but as many expected, Luthor had this plan. He was going to restart his heart. He just needed him to temporarily die to escape the Doomsday Shackles. And so that's what happens. Nightwing escapes forever evil with his life intact, but it doesn't change the fact that his secret identity has been exposed. So he's going deep undercover, faking his death and not even telling some of his closest friends like Barbara Gordon.
Clearly, it's tax season.
Later this year, DC will be launching a new solo title, just called Grayson, featuring Dick as an agent of the ridiculously clandestine spy agency Spiral, as last seen in Batman Incorporated, and led by none other than the Golden Age Batwoman Kathy Kane. DC has also announced a one-shot called Robin Rises Omega, set after the Hunt for Robin arc in the Batman and series, which will go back to being titled Batman and Robin starting in July. Images suggest that we're looking at the resurrection of Damian Wayne, but whether this is the case or we're getting a new Robin is uncertain. Either way, we're going to be seeing Robin again.
Oh God, how does that start?
Now for 3 series that did not get Fluffinutter's seal of approval. At the, top of the bottom really, we're looking at Dragonar Academy. It's a very middle-of-the-road series that has yet to teeter more on the plus or minus side. I'm a little bit worried for this one.
Number 3 is Wolverine number 4. It wasn't that the whole thing was all bad, I'm just really disappointed in the generic direction the story is taking after the series initially seemed much more interesting and unique.
Making the number 2 spot in our bottom 3 just barely is Kamigami no Asobi. It's pretty funny actually. The problem is it's not supposed to be a comedy.
Number 2 is Red Hood and the Outlaws number 30. Really, I just don't see why this series should be so bland. It really should be better, but it hasn't been in a long time.
Topping the bottom charts this week, we're looking at Blade and Soul. And just brace yourself for this one, all right? In fact, this one is just... Look, I'm going to need probably about a week to sort out my feelings on this, so be watching out for that review next week.
And number 1, Trinity of Sin Pandora number 10. It really just goes nowhere, and the whole big fight is just pathetic because it never really feels like Pandora's in any danger. It was just such a filler, bland issue.
Brace yourself.
My top 3 this week. Number 3, Morning Glories number 38, because Morning Glories is always amazing.
For top 3 anime this week, at number 3, we're looking at Burst Angels. It's been a while. Netflix, bring it back. I wasn't done yet.
My number 2 this week is Batman Eternal number 2, and it really seems like this is going to be a staple among the tops every week.
Right in the middle of our anime top 3 is No Game, No Life. It's a very refreshing and light series that may be a new look for the sci-fi genre for contemporary anime.
But my number 1 this week, Superior Spider-Man number 31. I'm sad to see the series go, but the finale was just incredible, and there's still a lot of emotional pieces to pick up. Like, I really feel bad for Anna Maria Marconi.
Topping the charts this week for our anime top 3 is such a huge secret and such an amazing reveal, I'm gonna have to tell you about it a little bit later on. Okay, so earlier I mentioned a super top secret anime number 1 spot.
So secret that even he doesn't know what it is.
I don't.
Told you so.
But that's why Jeremy and I want you to post on our Twitter and our Facebook page your poll for comics and anime. We'll take a look at them, and if we like them, they might just be here on the show.
Maybe.
Possibly.
We make no promises.
Okay, Jess, I'm just saying that Goat Simulator would be an amazing MMO.
And I'm just saying, no.
No, Jess, just try it.
Nope. There are plenty of other MMOs out there, all of which are good, bad, and or random.
This would be all 3 of them. Good, bad, random, online, gaming. Good, the community. Without saying that all gamers are sun-fearing cave trolls, MMOs are a very real means of spending time with people and making friends. You can even meet a girlfriend, except she lives in Canada, and she's a dude. It's called catfishing.
Bad. Subscription fees. You gotta buy the game, and then you gotta, buy it again each month to keep playing it? That's stupid.
Random. Holidays and MMOs. Have you ever been in WoW during the holiday season just to avoid your families? Some of those side quests are amusing, others are tedious, and others are just... what?
Good, multitasking. If you're the kind of person who always needs a side project, MMOs move slow enough that you can run them off to the side of whatever you're doing. I'm playing Elder Scrolls Online right now. Wait, no, I was writing this last night. Can we... Yeah, thanks.
Bad. A good 90% of MMOs have this same gameplay style that just feels unnatural, where it's like, oh look, I've got my character. I'm telling him to go fight stuff, instead of just playing like an action game. Why can't you just play like an action game?
Random. The memes that come out of it, such as the plague outbreak in WoW and also Leroy Jenkins.
Good. World of Warcraft is ending. WoW has been a dominant force in online gaming for years, but it's finally on the decline, which leaves room for innovation instead of copycatting. New MMOs are on the horizon, complete with new features, new ideas, and some other things that just might pull the genre out of stagnation.
Bad. Just like in Call of Duty, online servers are filled with a bunch of immature assholes who never shut up about really stupid things, and you just want to smack them, but you can't because they're somewhere else.
Random. Sociolotron, the MMO so messed up, I actually can't talk about it on camera.
Keeping your story secret from the writer does not make you a ninja.
See, I beg to differ.
I refuse to let you differ because you're wrong. It is not ninja, it is obnoxious.
And you know, that is a very nice microphone. Hail Hydra.
That is incorrect.
What?
I called in backup.
It's pronounced Heil.
No. It's definitely hail.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong there.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
And I'm pretty sure there's about to be a nerd fight.
Before delving into any comic backstory or anything, the meme itself has been Hail Hydra. And let's face it, the meme culture tends to stick whether it's right or wrong. Nobody said, beam me up, Scotty, but the phrase is a part of Star Trek history nonetheless. Thus, the meme as Hail Hydra is correct in and of the meme itself.
So you're going off of the meme and it being right, but the internet is never right. Well, 85% of the time. Plus, memes don't always stick around. You know, Lolcats has delved completely from its original source material.
Okay, here's another little tidbit. It may or may not be canon in the movies, but Hydra didn't even originate in Nazi Germany. The organization has its roots all the way back to the 3rd dynasty of ancient Egypt. So maybe it should be whatever is Egyptian for Hail Hydra, and would probably be written in hieroglyphics.
In the comics, though, it was originally written H-E-I-L, Heil. And in today's American pronunciation, it would be Hail, even if it was written that way because, you know, Americans don't care about other cultures. But also, the meme is based off of the movie itself, and the first Captain America movie started with Nazi German Hydra. Therefore, Heil is more correct.
Okay, sure. When Hydra was deeply entwined in Nazi Germany, it was Heil Hydra, because they were German. But in the modern day, Hydra has evolved into a new monster. Most of the German heads are the ones that have been cut off, and it's the American heads that are the ones that regrew in their place. The modern Hydra is so far up S.H.I.E.L.D's ass in exactly the same way that they were up the Nazis' butts, so they would be more American.
Well, if they cut off the German heads, then why didn't they change the name, huh?
Look, you're running out of things to say. Your facts are starting to feel repetitive. You're repeating yourself.
Well, at least mine have some validity to them, unlike yours, which are just made up.
Of course they're made up. They're from fictional material. But this whole thing is about fiction.
Okay, well, as a linguist, I have a doctorate. It's hanging up in my room. Never mind the fact that I gave myself the diploma, not a real university. It's Heil.
No, okay, it was Heil, sure. But the fact is, the organization changed structure and it became Hail.
Well, change is stupid, like your face.
Well, Mitch is stupid, like, I think, yeah. Let's just agree to disagree, and Mitch loses.
Mitch is wrong?
Yeah.
I can get along with that.
So how'd it go with Jeremy?
Oh, it was a draw.
What? No, that's not how fights work. There has to be a victor.
There were two. We both won.
Then who lost?
You did. And that's our show for today, guys.
What? No, I
Check
wasn't
us out
even
on
there.
Twitter and Facebook.
I wasn't even there.
Jess's script. Take 1 billion.
You know what the best definition of a word is? Like my favorite definition of a word?
What?
Thinking. Defined as the manipulation of symbols. You just gotta keep adding ambiguous modifiers, then we can never be in trouble.
So, Lucas, you want to teleprompter for me?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Am I contractually obligated?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Satan.
In a world
In a world
where everyone sounds like a movie announcer.
where everyone sounds like a movie announcer.
People copy what you're saying, apparently.
I read this earlier. I should know this. Am I funny yet?
I directed my tones. I hope they don't catch up on that.
I'm just saying, this is the kind of thing we have to deal with here at the studio, so you at home can enjoy a very relaxing and enjoyable Nerdcast.
Try not to squeal during this.
You're purposefully being ignorant.
You hate it.
She didn't talk. She's mad. Hide me.
Hey, Lucas, check this out.
Okay, so we're looking at an Irish trucker?
No, that's the Green Goblin's new look. He's gonna be called
No.
He's gonna be called the Shamrock Goblin.
Really? You gotta be kidding me.
That also leads to some pretty sweet fights. It also leads to fight scenes.
I said, one of these days, Tyler, I will learn how to do the hustle, or at least the Charleston. And on that day, I will be unstoppable. Whoa.
Since when has the internet ever been right? You know that whole, you swallow 8 spiders. I can't speak. Sorry. I don't have a script in front of me.
I have to deal with him.
I have to deal with him.
But luckily, neither of us has to deal with Mitch much.
I don't know, I'll take him.
I have to deal with all of you.
Our producer has to deal with all of us. Please pity her. Okay, so the producer said you're supposed to be on red, right?
Yeah.
On the red line. Okay, so I'm on brown, right?
No, you're supposed to be on green. Lucas, I've heard of color blindness, but I've never heard of color deafness.
What?
Do we have a montage?
It's really weird in here when it's quiet, it's dark, there's no one else in here, and you just hear the clock ticking.
I'm just saying the color scheme to me seems a little bit off for the fact that something is always breaking on every single panel of this issue.
No, it's not that things are breaking. It's that they're already broken. They're in the ruins of a city.
It looks like Detroit on a large scale.
What are you guys talking about?
New Jersey.
Being a goat is a lifestyle choice. And my first instinct is to Ren and Stimpy show.
Are you ticklish?
Yes, please stop.
Stand close to me, young ward. Too close.